Today we will be learning how to draw perspective. Art with Miss A. All right, let's get started. There's two very important things you need to know when drawing perspective. The first is our horizon line. That is what divides the land from the sky, the background from the countertop. And basically, it's a line that you draw to get started. And it can be pretty much anywhere on your paper, but you kind of want to have it sectioned off equally so you can have a top portion and a bottom portion. Then you need to look at your vanishing point. And the vanishing point is the area or spot in which everything is going to vanish into. And that spot or dot that you're going to make is halfway on that horizon line. So I use my ruler, and now we're going to get started with our first drawing, and that's going to be a nature perspective. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to get our supplies, a ruler, a pencil, and an eraser. And you're going to fold your paper in half, meeting up the corners and making a nice crease. And then you're going to fold that paper once again, meeting up the corners and making another crease. Open up your paper and you will now have 4 sections. You're going to do this particular drawing portrait, which is up and down. So now you're going to get your pencil, and we're going to also, I'm going to actually use a Sharpie just so that you can see my lines, and we're going to make our horizon line. And again, that is the line that is going to break the sky from the land. And we're going to put that on our piece of paper, and we're going to draw a line from one edge of the paper to the other edge of the paper. And now you're going to use the center where you creased, and that is going to be your vanishing point. And you're going to make a little dot right there so that you know where it is. And everything is going to go into that line so that it'll appear that everything is vanishing far away. So now we're going to make our road, and our road is going to go right as close as we can to that dot, starting at the edge bottom corners of our paper, and the right side, which is the 4th section, you're going to go from the corner, and then the 3rd section you're going to go kind of up a little higher to make it look like the road is curving. And you're going to have both lines meet right at that vanishing point. Now, from that vanishing point, I want you to make a line that comes straight down and curves just ever so slightly. And you're going to make 2 lines parallel to each other so that shows the road, how it splits down the middle. When you're driving down the road, sometimes there's a line or sometimes there's a dotted line. This time we're going to draw a straight line. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put trees that are on either side of the road. Now, if something is close to you, it's larger. When it goes further away, it gets smaller. So I want you to first draw your first tree to be large. And you're going to make your tree, I'm making a pine tree, but you can make any kind of tree. And I want it to be large. And I want it to go over the horizon line and come down to the edge where the road meets. And this is going to be your biggest tree. And you can do it in pencil. I'm doing mine in pencil, so if I make a mistake, I can erase. And you can do the same large tree on the other side. We're going to make this particular drawing symmetrical, meaning whatever is on the left is similar to the right. So I'm making a second large tree. All right, so the next trees that we're drawing are going to be quite a bit smaller because they're further away from us. And you're going to draw a tree on the left side and you're going to draw one on the right side, similar in size and shape, and they're going to be in the same area of the paper as well. All right, so now we're going to continue and make even a smaller tree, even going further back after you've drawn your two middle-sized trees. So now these are going to be tiny, and these are going to be right behind the last tree you made. And being that these are even further away, you make them even smaller. And you'll do one on the right and one on the left. And if you have room, you can even make a smaller tree way, way, way back near the vanishing point. Now you need to come up with some sort of background. I'm going to do really large mountains. I think that that would look really cool because it will show perspective and show that these mountains are way behind us, but they're very large. And I'm putting them on either side of my road. So my road would go right through the middle of those two mountain ranges. I'm putting a little snow on them. I'm going to put some clouds, and I'm drawing this in pencil and just getting the background to look the way I want it. You can come up with any background that you want to and use your own creative side. So now you're going to take your black pen and outline everything, and you can erase any pencil lines that were left over. And then I use color crayons to color my composition. And you notice everything is vanishing into that vanishing point. And that is a perspective drawing of nature. I think it turned out pretty good. Right, now we're going to attempt to draw perspective of not only nature, but we're going to now do a cityscape. So what you will need is a ruler, a pencil, an eraser, and a black pen for outlining. And we can use color crayons, watercolor, or pens if you'd like to color in our drawing. And you're going to take your pencil, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make a vanishing point, and from that vanishing point we're going to make our horizon line. And the horizon line is the line that splits the land from the sky. And that line we're just simply going to draw with our ruler from edge to edge with our pencil. All right, so now that you have your horizon line and your vanishing point, you're going to draw a line from your vanishing point, that dot, to the corners of each of the four corners of this paper. So take your ruler and line it up with the vanishing point in the corner and draw a line going out. And there should be 4 of those. Those are the 2 at the top, and then you'll do 2 at the bottom. All right, so now that we have all of our guidelines, we are now going to start drawing the picture. You're going to use your ruler, and from the vanishing point, I want you to draw a line coming out down to the bottom of your page, parallel pretty much to the line that you drew going to the bottom 2 corners. And this is going to be the sidewalk of your city. And it's going to be small, vanishing towards the vanishing point and get wider as it comes down because it's closer to us. and that is an optical illusion, allowing your eye to see things closer up, being bigger and smaller as it goes towards the vanishing point. Now you're going to put lines in your sidewalk. Now remember, when the sidewalk is far away, the lines will appear to be smaller and closer together. As they come forward, closer to you, your eye would see them and they would be spread out further apart. Great, so your sidewalk is all done. Now we're going to put trees on the left side and a cityscape on the right side. So let's do our trees first. And you're going to work in that left side corner of the page, and you're going to make your trees lining the side of the sidewalk. Now the trees that are closest to you are going to be larger than the trees going further back away from you towards the vanishing point. So the first tree needs to be large, and you're going to make your tree trunk over that horizon line, and you're not going to draw anything outside of the top of that line going out to the left-hand corner. So you see I'm drawing my first tree, and it's very large, and it's going right up to that line. So my next tree is going to be a little bit smaller, and it's going to be lined up right along the first tree, and now the top of that tree is not going to go outside the top of that line that I drew my first tree top in. And you're going to continue to put trees down in that triangle area, following the line of the sidewalk, making those lines going up and down straight, and making the top of your tree not go above that line coming out towards the corner. And I think I'm going to be able to get at least 3 trees in, maybe 4. If you have any mistakes, you can always erase. All right, and I'm putting one last tree, a smaller tree in the very, very back, and just cleaning up my page. All right, so I slowed the camera down a little bit on this because it does seem a little intimidating to draw buildings that look like they're vanishing. But once you learn the tools to do this, it's quite easy actually. Now you're going to work in that one triangle. That is where your buildings are going to go, and you're going to use your ruler, and you're going to follow that line at the top of your page, because that will make the buildings look like they are going away from you and they are vanishing. So first line you want to do is a straight line going right into that line. Then you want to follow down that line till you get to about there. And now you're going to take your ruler and you're going to draw a line parallel to the edge of the paper, meaning a straight line all the way to the sidewalk. So make a straight line and stop when you get to the sidewalk. Then you're going to use your ruler and you're going to make a line coming down from where that straight line going into that diagonal line, and draw a line down from there that meets as well at the bottom. Now that second line, you want to draw a straight line going off the page, and that will make the building look like that is the side of the building. So we're going to do this again. You're going to go back up to the top of the paper, and you're going to go further down on that first building, make a straight line into that diagonal line, and follow the diagonal line down with your pencil. That's your second line. Then you're going to take your ruler and draw a parallel line going down straight right into the sidewalk with your ruler. Make sure that it's parallel and going up and down straight. Once you get to the sidewalk, you move over and you go to that line where you drew that straight line that met the diagonal line and go straight down again. And then you're going to, at that bottom point of that line, you're going to make a straight line going off the page or going across. And that's how you make buildings. Do you see the two buildings? I bet you can get two more buildings on this page. So you're going to go straight into the diagonal line, follow the diagonal line down. Now you're going to take your ruler, or you can just use your straight, just your hand, just to make a straight line. Now that the lines are getting smaller, I don't need my ruler. And then you're going to make another line, again, parallel to that line, which makes now the building look like it's got a side to it. And then you go straight line across. So now you have 3 buildings, and I bet you can get one more building. You're going to go straight into that diagonal line, and you're going to follow the diagonal line down. Then you're going to go straight down parallel, and then make another line where you went from that straight line, and then a line going back the other way straight. And now you have 4 standing buildings. All right, so now we're going to draw the doors. And the doors always follow the same lines as your buildings. So just think about yourself when you're drawing the door, that you're going to follow the outer line that is closest to it. So the sides of all of your doors are going to be straight, parallel, up and down lines. But then the tops and bottoms of your doors are going to follow the rule of the vanishing point. And I use my ruler to help me do this. I usually draw my lines for my doors, the side door lines first, because they just go up and down. And then I use my ruler, or I use my vanishing point to make sure that the tops of the doors and the bottoms of the doors follow that rule, because you want them to be on an angle ever so slightly to make them look like they are correctly drawn on your picture. And here I'm showing that the vanishing point and the top of my door is at an angle. And the way you can check is you also can put your ruler down and have it go to that vanishing point, and then draw your line from there. Here I'm using my ruler to make sure that I have correctly drawn the tops of the doors, and they should all line up when you put the ruler on the dot, which is your vanishing point. I'm now going to draw some signs over my buildings so I can put whatever type of store they are. You're also going to follow that same rule that you did where the sides are up and down, and then the tops of the signs have to go that same angle as the roof and the sidewalk, because you want them to look like they are vanishing. So that vanishing point is your tool. You can use your ruler and line it up with that dot, and it will make everything look like that it's in perspective. I'm also going to give my buildings some details and windows, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up my drawing. All right, so I'm going to draw a sun set, which is just a line so that when I color I'll know. And then I'm also going to draw the lines in the street. And the lines in the street, they would be bigger when they're towards you and smaller as they go towards the vanishing point. Now I'm taking my black pen and I'm outlining everything. And then after that, I will erase any pencil lines that I do not need. I'm using a Sharpie because I am going to actually use some watercolor pens that I have to paint. And if I used a regular pen, it would bleed. So I want to make sure that I'm using a permanent pen so that it won't happen when I use my watercolors. So now that I have my cityscape drawn out, I am going to start watercoloring my my picture, and I'm using these pens that are actual watercolor pens. And I want you to notice that the sun setting, any part of the building that is the front of the building is going to be lighter than the sides of the building, because the sun wouldn't shine as much on the side of those buildings. So you want to use your value, and knowing that you can use a shade darker that would be on the sides, or if you're using a color crayon, you can press harder on the sides of the building and lighter when you're coloring in the fronts of the buildings. That way it will also allow your picture to look more realistic. So here I'm going to paint the windows with a little bit of yellow from the glow of the sun setting, and that also makes it look more realistic. Right, so I'm finished painting, and now I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to come back in with more details. So I've given it about an hour, and now I'm going in with my black pen, and I'm giving the building a little bit more details and outlining some places that I wanted to do. And then I'm also adding some leaves and some more details. And here is my finished cityscape with nature perspective drawing. I think it turned out really cool, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Thank you for joining me today to learn how to draw perspective. Until next time, Art with Miss A, and remember, if you can imagine it, you can make it, and you can change your world. Stay safe, my friends.